Yeah. Okay. The human body cannot tolerate the excessive temperatures, whether it is heat or cold. Therefore, environmental temperature control is also a permanently needed for the well functioning of human body. If it is excess temperature, what will happen? We will be getting into heat stress. If it is in a low temperatures, we may get affected with the freezing and also cold burns. And the ventilation helps in removing excessive temperatures. If you are providing proper ventilation, it helps to maintain a proper temperature and also removes the excess temperatures. Heavy physical work or heavy workload causes heat stress and strain and increase the metabolic heat. The body temperature, sweating, heart rate, etc. To maintain control body temperature, ventilation is necessary. If the people are working very hard, their excessive body movements or repetitive movements are very high. Their body movements are very high. They are using excessive physical energy. So what will happen automatically? The body gets heated up. Due to that, they will lost more amount of water. So that automatically what will happen? They'll get into strain and increase the metabolic heat. So that automatically to control that heat, automatically the sweating starts and also heart rate also increases. To avoid this, we should maintain proper ventilation to control such kind of temperatures. Carbon dioxide, we know very well. We are exhaling, once you inhale the air, we'll exhale the carbon dioxide. Is a continuously exhausted by the human beings. Much more contaminants are added by the manufacturing process to pollute the air. Therefore, cleaning of air and the supply of fresh air is with sufficient oxygen also necessary. Because what will happen? Sometimes, if many people are sitting in a non-air conditioned room, after a few minutes or a few hours, what will happen? They will feel suffocated because whatever the exhaled air which contains the carbon dioxide more and other contaminants, if you are not giving a space to get in the breathing air, what will happen? Continuously the exhaled air is breathing by the people, so that they will feel suffocated due to the less concentration, the less amount of oxygen in the place they are sitting. So we need a proper ventilation for a fresh air. This is possible. Therefore, the cleaning air and the supply of fresh air with the sufficient oxygen also necessary. This is possible by good ventilation and pollution control techniques. Now we'll see the quantity and quality of air required for the ventilation. Depends on the rate of heat generation in the room. For example, you are going to set a fan or draft fan, we are going to set an exhaust system, or you are going to set in a fresh air system for the rooms or the workplace. These are the parameters we have to consider before finalizing the system. One is a rate of heat generation in the room. How much heat it is generating in the room area or in a process area. Then rate of contaminants. Apart from temperature, we should also consider the rate of contaminants like a gas, vapor, dust generation in the room. Based on your process, it will be vary what kind of gases, what kind of vapors, and what size of dust which is generating out of my process. Then also rates of dispersion of heat in the contaminant, how the temperature and the contaminants are dispersing. Then rate of dilution and the removal that may be achieved by ventilation. Rate of dilution means how much you're diluting it. For example, the concentration of contaminants. For example, there are 100 contaminants in your room or 100 particles in your room. If you are providing ventilation, what will happen? 50 contaminants are throwing away by the room, which means you are providing 50%, you are diluting the contaminants. That also we have to consider. The rate of dilution means how much concentration you are diluting. For example, while making it tea, what will happen? 1 cup of milk will put 1 cup of water, which means you are diluting the milk to the 50%. So that we have to check for analyzing of this quality and the quantity of a system. We also consider rate of dilution and or removal that may be achieved by ventilation. Then electric fittings for ventilation system is flammable or explosive area should be flame proof of the approved type. There are different types of flame proof fittings. Type P, type E, type N, type IP, like that. Different types of flame proof electrical fittings are there. Out of this flame proof electrical fittings, which one is suitable for your area based on the process? If your process is releasing any contaminants or any leakage, frequent leakages are happening in your area, so that we have to choose the better type of electrical fittings to avoid such fire and explosion accident due to the short circuit or a spark or a excessive loading of electrical equipment. Now we'll see effects of good and bad ventilation. What will be the effect? For example, if you are not getting proper air, you are not having proper breathing air, what are the effects we'll get? What kind of symptoms we can able to see? What are the effects we'll get if you are not having proper breathing air? What are the effects we'll get? What are the symptoms we can able to observe? Come on. No problem. Whatever you know, so you can tell, no problem. If you're
Dizziness.
not having dizziness, okay.
Suffocation.
Suffocation. In the final stage, you may get suffocation as well. Yeah.
Headache.
Okay, headache.
Feeling vomiting sensations.
Vomiting sensation. Okay. What about others? We got only 2 responses, Muralidharan and Himagiri Reddy. What about others?
Sir, and my problem, sir.
Chapan.
Uncomfortable, sir.
Okay, uncomfortable.
And skin allergies. Skin allergies.
Skin allergy. How it is skin allergy?
Sir, perfect not ventilation and problems, sir, and chemical areas.
Okay, if it is a chemical area. Inga?
Okay, sir. And the ventilation కొన్ని ఏరియాలో ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉంటాయి, sir.
Maybe possibility of unconscious irritation and throat
stores
entered.
Okay, if the person is in a chemical contaminated area, he may get a throat this thing, and also he get a suffocation and irritation. He may get giddiness and he may get a headache because of he's having not sufficient amount of oxygen in the air, and also he may feel suffocated, and also he may fall down. It may leads to unconscious state as well. So many reasons, because our body is very much connected, very much linked with the oxygen. Because if you're not having lunch, or if you're not having food, you may survive for 1 month. You're not having water, you may survive for 3 to 4 days or 5 days or in a week. But you are not breathing the air, you may die within 4 to 5 minutes, you will die, because that is the precious thing for the people to survive in this world. So breathing air is very much required. 1 second, guys. Noise. Yeah. Now it is better. Now we'll see what are the effects of good and bad ventilation. Availability of sufficient fresh air for breathing and removing oxygen deficiency from a confined space. The effects of good ventilation will be availability of sufficient fresh air for breathing. If you are not putting any ventilation system, what will happen? Reverse to it. There will not be any fresh air to breathe. Then removing oxygen deficiency from the confined spaces. What is meant by oxygen deficiency? What does it mean? Oxygen deficiency and oxygen enrichment. Enrichment and
oxygen deficient అంటే 19.3 below.
ఎవరన్నా ఒక్కరు చెప్పండి, వన్ బై వన్ చెప్పండి.
సార్, ఆక్సిజన్ డిఫిషియన్సీ అంటే 19.3 కన్నా తక్కువ ఉంటే ఆక్సిజన్ డిఫిషియన్సీ అంటారు. ఎంరిచ్మెంట్ అంటే 21.5 అబోవ్ ఉంటే దాన్ని ఆక్సిజన్ ఎన్రిచ్ అంటారు. ఉండే దానికన్నా ఎక్కువ ఉండడం.
23.5 sir.
23.5. If it is more than 23.5 and from 23.5 to above the 23.5, we'll tell it as, or we call it as oxygen enrichment. What are the problems with the oxygen enrichment? What are the drawbacks of oxygen enrichment?
Caught fire.
There won't be any gas transfer inside the lungs. So lungs will fail immediately.
Lungs will fail immediately, and also if you see in a fire point of view, it will be more chance to get into a fire accident. Okay, in the deficiency, we know what will deficiency happens. Automatically will not have a sufficient oxygen. Automatically will get into giddiness, and then later stage will come to unconsciousness. It leads to death of a person. Then removal or dilution of carbon dioxide and other air pollutions. If you are putting a good ventilation system, what the system do? It will remove the dilution of carbon dioxide and other air pollutants. The fourth one, decrease in environmental heat or temperature. If there is a fresh air, what will happen in summers? What we'll do? We will open all the doors and windows, because of air flow, the temperature will be balanced. Then increase in air changes as per the statutory requirement. If I'm not wrong, for hour it need minimum 60 air changes in a workplace. Whatever the size of the workplace, minimum 60 air changes required. For example, your work area is 10 cubic meter into 60. Those many air changes are required to change per hour. Even in environmental monitoring, then in CFO, if you see your concern for operation, if your company is having, they will mention in a point monitoring and measuring. In that point, they will clearly mention environmental sampling need to be done once in a year, or once in a month, or once in a quarter. In that, we have to cover this point. What is the airflow it is having? Then removal of and maintaining metabolic body temperature or heat balance. It will happen automatically if you are having a good ventilation system. And removal of air contaminants like dust, gas, fumes, mist from the workroom. Removal of contaminants. How it will remove? If you are putting any exhaust system, it will take out all the contaminants, or if you are providing proper openings on the wind flow direction, so that automatically the fresh air will take out the contaminants. Then maintaining room temperature for the comfort. Automatically it will maintain the room temperature if you are providing a proper wood ventilation system, because the hot air always try to escape from the room so that it will be at the top of the room. If the fresh air it is coming, it will take out the hot air. And removal of body odor and bad smell from the room. And also, this is also one of the benefit. Whatever the odd smells are there, it will take out the odd smell and also body odors. Then effects of bad ventilation will be, it is a vice versa to this points which we have discussed. Or opposite to the above, a non-availability of fresh air of life, insufficient air changes, no cooling effect, discomfort, body stress and strain, no removal of air contaminants, body odor, bad smell, increasing chance of accidents. How the ventilation leads to accidents? Can anybody give one example? How the bad ventilation leads to an accident? What will be the primary cause or primary reason it leads to an accident? Ventilation to accident. Any one example?
Maybe bad ventilation, if we didn't remove the flammable vapors accumulation, it may lead to fire and explosion.
Fire and explosion, yes. Any
Similarly,
other examples?
It may lead to oxygen deficiency as well.
Yeah, it is air getting more contaminated if it is toxic or poisonous gases leakage from the process. The air get more contaminated than the TWA or any other ideal H limits or ppms. The people may get inhaled that air, they may get into ill health. And apart from that, if the ventilation is not sufficient, what will happen? They'll be gone through the extreme stages. Their body get more heated, then automatically the water losses will be high. If they are not hydrating themselves properly, the water loss will be high. Automatically the minerals and salts which is come out of the in sweat form, they'll get strained and they'll get weak, so that they tends to take a shortcut. They'll not follow all the procedures. They'll not follow all the SOPs. They'll not follow. They'll not follow all the instructions which need to be followed at the time of process or at the time of working in the shop floor. So it leads to tendency to take a shortcut, tendency to do a unsafe action. So ventilation is required. If you are very comfortable, what will happen? You will do your work aram se. Under kada aadu paadu pani chestarani. If the ventilation of the workplace is not properly ventilated, what will happen? It may leads to accident. You will not focus much. You will not focus, fully focused on work. The increasing chance of accidents and lowering efficiency and productivity, no job satisfaction. What will happen? Automatically, you will not get satisfied. మీ వర్క్ ప్లేస్ లో కంటిన్యూస్ గా మీకు అంత హీట్ ఉంది, ఒక చిన్న ఫ్యాన్ కూడా పెట్టలేదు మీ బాస్, ఏమవుతుంది? ఓవర్ ఎ పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ టైం యూ కెన్ గెట్ అన్సాటిస్ఫైడ్ విత్ యువర్ వర్క్. అదేంట్రా బాబు, ఇంత పని చేసినా కూడా ఒక చిన్న ఫ్యాన్ కూడా లేదు, ఊరికే స్వెట్టింగ్ వచ్చేస్తుంది. You'll get unsatisfied. There are more time for cooling of hot vessels and the substances and ventilation of statutory provisions, which means increasing chance of accidents, lowering efficiency and productivity. What will happen? Automatically, the efficiency of the people also will get down. If you are not providing proper workplace or proper ventilation, the people will not work on full efficiency. Their efficiency levels will be, then automatically their productivity will come down. Now we'll see the classification of ventilation. As I told you at the beginning of the class, there are two types majorly: natural ventilation and mechanical ventilation. In natural ventilation, dilution and cross ventilation or wind action, then roofed ventilation like a stack action. These are the two types of natural ventilation systems. In mechanical side, again, they divided into two. For building and for contaminant control, there are two types. One is exhaust or negative ventilation, then plenum or positive ventilation system, and combined or compound ventilation. Then roof ventilation or comfort ventilation or air conditioning. Here it is called refrigeration, heating, and humidity control or evaporative cooling. These are the different types in for the buildings. For the contamination control in the sense, in your process, the vapors are generating, the dust is generating, fumes are generating. So there we need dilution ventilation and local exhaust ventilation and emergency ventilation. For example, dilution ventilation. Dilution means what? We have to dilute or reduce the concentration of the contaminants. For example, as I told you, example, 100 particles are there in air. Only 50 or 60 or 40 is the minimum it should be maintained for 8 hours exposure. There I have to put a system in such a way that my contaminant should be maintained always at 40%. Then local exhaust ventilation. In the local exhaust ventilation, in local exhaust ventilation system means exactly we will put this system at the point of source where the source is contaminants are generating. For example, any packing equipment, there the powder is packing into the bags. There will be the powder dust may exit. There we need a local exhaust ventilation system. Or any welding activity, welding fumes are generating at the point of welding. That is called source of generation. There we go for a local exhaust ventilation system. In other way, any wood cutting machine or any wood polishing machine, what will happen? Wherever the wood cutting is happening, there exactly the dust will generate. Exactly top of that, we will put this local exhaust ventilation system so that it will take out the complete, almost 95% of contaminants will be taken out from the generation or from the source of generation. In such cases, we will use this local exhaust ventilation. The third one, emergency ventilation. What about this emergency ventilation? It is especially only for the emergency cases. For example, in my previous organization, we have a chlorine storage. Then what will happen in case of DEET, in case of any detection of chlorine, then the excessive limits, automatically the storage area, both the shutters will be shut off and automatically the scrubber will on. Then the scrubber exhaust system will be activated automatically based on the sensor system, which means whatever the chlorine which is leaking from the cylinders or from the bullets, so that will be taken out by the exhaust ventilation system or emergency ventilation system. It will give it to the scrubber for the dilution. That is for emergency ventilation purposes. Okay, now we'll see other ventilation systems, how it is. One is ventilation systems are two types: supply air systems and the exhaust systems. Exhaust system in the sense, the supply air system has two purposes. One is heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. HVAC is for comfortable environment. like how offices will be air conditioned, how the restaurants will be air conditioned, how our office cabins will be air conditioned, how our warehouses, some of the warehouses will completely air conditioned, like especially for the meat handlers. Some of the food processing industries also completely air conditioned workstations will be there. Then to replace the exhausted air from the plant, this is the other type to replace the exhausted air. The exhaust system of two types will be general and the local exhaust type. One is general exhaust and